First, I'd like to give all honor and praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Double honors to elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And shall allow them to the Akim that's also out there teaching this truth. Because we haven't much time left. The kingdom of Babylon the Great is about to fall, and so this is one of those kind of lessons that you do in the car sort of thing. Yeah. So this is what you would call a ride-along, except that, of course we're going to talk about things that need to be talked about, such as the downfall of Esau, Babylon, and the fact that, every day more and more Babylon the Great is being exposed for the, wickedness that it does, all these policies that have been imposed, all the delicacies. And, of course, then you got the religion, stretched Christianity, which really is Greek Orthodox, in the essence that Zeus is really who Jesus is, and so, we know that the Greek Empire was a conquered people, that the Greeks were conquered by the Edomites anyway, so that makes sense now that, they wanted you to worship Zeus, but they had to come up with another name to get you to worship them, because it was all about the worship of Esau, the so-called white man. So they had to come up with a way of that, and, they found a way, because we find out that the Bourgeois family has a royal bloodline, and that would be known as the Rothschilds and Rockefellers today. So we know that Cesare Borgia is now roaming the planet today as David Rothschild, and of course stretched Christianity is the worship of Cesare Borgia, and worship of Zeus, because that's what Esau does, is he adapts all these philosophies. And that is what it is to partake of this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Not a literal tree, but as in, spiritually, taking on other philosophies, going off and learning other philosophies of the heathen, of the other nations, which is what stretched Christianity is. Because it's no longer the worship of the Most High, Yahweh, and His Son Yahushai, but rather the worship of Cesare Borgia, of Zeus, And so we're exposing all that, and Esau doesn't like the fact that we're pushing this truth out there, and we're exposing his lies. We're combating him in every way, shape, and form. And I just happen to live in a town that's more Edomite country than anything else. But this whole place, Babylon the Great, is Edomite country. So whether you're in what you would refer to as a redneck town or a bigger city or whatsoever, this is still Esau's establishment, and that his force structure being kicked out of heaven, which heaven usually means power structure or metropolis, or as in a kingdom. So in the essence of being kicked out of heaven means Esau being taken down and out of power, and that's what we're bringing out on the streets. And your Edomites ain't gonna like it, like what happened to me earlier this week. He didn't like the fact that I was bringing that out there, and pretty much I want you to stop what you're doing. Nobody wants to hear that. Well, of course they don't want to hear that, because it's not good news for them. What's the good news of the gospel of this kingdom is good news for us, but not good news for Esau, the so-called white man, because you find out this whole stretched Christianity thing has been a lie. It's just been, worship of Zeus, and of course all the other things that come out of mythology. The hell doctrine is really about Hades, and and it's all Greek mythology. I mean, why do you think it is when you went to school, you're being indoctrinated? You've been indoctrinated with the stretched Christianity and with all these other philosophies from pretty much the time that you were born here in this place of Sodom and Egypt spiritually. So you've been indoctrinated with all these philosophies. So we have eaten of that tree of knowledge of good and evil in the essence of we have all these other philosophies, because we weren't being taught the Bible. We were being taught Christianity. And we've been indoctrinated in the schools and everything. You can't have home studies and all that. You have to be indoctrinated with these lies. The lies of Esau, the so-called white man. And that's what we're really battling against, is these lies and everything. And, it's real, man. That's why we're out on the streets teaching, and so, it's good news for us, but bad news for them. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's been a ride along. Just thought I'd share this moment. So I want to give all praise to Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahushai, double honors to elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and shout out to the Akim that's pushing out this truth. Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahushai, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and shout out to the Akim that's also out pushing this truth in sincerity, risking their lives to do so. So, it really goes back to Revelation chapter 14. We're singing that new song, which nobody else could learn that new song except 144,000, which are the 12 tribes that are redeemed from this earth. And so, Esau, he's definitely not going to understand the song, but neither are 2/3 of our people going to understand this song. We're singing a different tune. We're not teaching the lies of stretch Christianity. We're exposing stretch Christianity for what it is, which has been the big stronghold, but we're also exposing Esau for the wicked that he is, and we're teaching our people to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, which they're not being told this. This is a new song to them because they still just believe that they are, the indigenous people of this land, that, quote unquote, that they're just, either Hispanics or just black or just, Indians, that they're everything but Israelites, and they don't want to accept that they're Israelites, or they do, but they just don't want to fall in the ways of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. They still want to hold on to old Babylonian ideas, precepts and concepts. In other words, still want to eat of this knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That is, adapting all these other philosophies, since we got into the meaning of what that is, to eat of that tree, that of all these, all these trees that you could eat, you just don't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, meaning that you don't adapt these other philosophies, which is what happened, when the first temptation was there. And we've also been taking out the idea that Satan had fallen from heaven, and destroyed the concept of Lucifer and Satan being the same thing, when in fact Lucifer just means, illuminated one, and yes, it does have something to do with Venus, the morning star, but it's just talking about how Esau is at his high illuminated place because he's the one that's in power, and we know that it's about, it's against the king of Babylonian, which is what modern day Idumea, Babylon is, America, and that he's going to be taken out of power very shortly here, is what these scriptures are pertaining to, that Esau's about to lose his power structure, he's about to lose his grip. The hammer of the whole earth is about to be destroyed, and this is not very good news for the Edomites, because they're finding out that they've been living a lie, that they've been taught wrongly, and it's just not very good news for them, And we've also been tearing down the stronghold of, well, what is Satan? What is Satanism? And what is satanic? So to the Edomite, we're Satanists. We're satanic in the essence that we're adversary to. We're adverse to them. We are their enemies. Jacob and Esau are not friends, And so everything we say is adverse to what they say, except we have the truth and they don't. So they'll definitely see us as Satanists or satanic, because we're tearing down the structure of Christianity, So that's just it. So they don't like this, You just stop right there, Nobody wants to hear that shit. Yeah, well, they don't want to hear this because, of course, it tears down everything, The Edomites don't like to be told that they're the devil, that they're Satan, But, knowing that Satan means adversary means adverse too, well, doesn't it make a lot more sense that Yahushai did not call Peter the entity Satan, but he was just saying, you're adverse to me, when he said, get thou behind me, Satan, when Peter had, tried to stop Yahushai from what he had to do, and do you really seriously think that Yahushai was calling him Satan or Esau? No. Well, Satan, means adverse. He was just saying that, you're obstructing, what I have to do. Get behind me. You're obstructing me. Is really the context of the full sentence. Doesn't that make a lot more sense when reading it? You know, because why would, if Peter's being given the keys to heaven, why would he be called the spiritual entity Satan? Doesn't make any sense. But you see, you know, people look at these things and take them literally, like Egypt. Egypt means bondage, you know. But, you know, when people read the scriptures, especially concerning Deuteronomy chapter 28, where it says that we'd be brought into Egypt again, they think it's that place in the Middle East, you know, and it has nothing to do with that place in the Middle East, which we know the Edomites had conquered that place, Egypt, so the Edomites are in control of it now, which the Edomites had also conquered Saudi Arabia and are in charge of it, you know. So we know that, yeah, those are places there, but Ishmaelites and the Edomites are two different races, but, you know, it would eventually become mixed, because that's what Esau does, is he takes over places, you know, such as, well, we have the history, and it's there in First Maccabees chapter 1, so when I get back to my place, I'll probably bring that out this week, because, you know, Esau has taken all these philosophies, and when you get down to what stretched Christianity really is, it's really mythology and just a few slight name changes, but Zeus is still there, so it's still Greek mythology in the essence that Jesus means hail to Zeus. So, you know, and again, Esau won't admit that Jesus is really just another name of Zeus. You know, he won't admit to this because, of course, you know, it takes out that stronghold. If it's just Greek mythology, well, people just kind of know that Greek mythology is just it. It's myth. It's a myth. It's not even true. You know, that these are just stories that people made up. You know, they're just fun adventure movies, you know, like the Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, The Legendary Continues, you know, stuff like that. You know, there's nothing more than just not to be taken serious. And so that's just it. So what he did is he molded it into stretched Christianity. You know, he took our Bible, because that Bible was only meant for us, we Hebrew Israelites, because we are the holy people. That's why it's called the Holy Bible. It was given unto the holy people. The law was given unto the holy people to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, but we fell from that. And then we became Gentile in the essence that we became like the other nations, not knowing who our Messiah was, not knowing who Yahweh was or his ways, because we had fallen out of that. So we were born and birthed into this place, Egypt, which means bondage. We're in this place of bondage. Well, where is this place of bondage today? We got here by ships, and we were brought here as slaves. So therefore, this place of bondage is, in fact, America. You know, America is Mystery Babylon. And pretty much, you know, you got these Zionists, which are really the Edomites, the Ashkenazis, claiming to be the people, but yet, you know, they only say Jewish or Israeli, you know. And that's another thing that just happened recently, is the Israeli state, IS, has attacked Syria again, has attacked the kingdom of Damascus, because we know that most likely how Esau is going to bring down the kingdom of Damascus and the kingdom from Syria is going to be through Amalek, which Amalek is currently in the Zionist entity state, the Jewish state Israel today, you know, those fake people that call themselves Jews, you know, who are really not. And so we know, though, that these things are all unfolding under Esau, the so-called white man, you know. And so they want to, you know, they want to pretty much tear down what we're doing, because they know that, you know, that we speak this truth, and it's tearing down the strongholds of everything that we've been taught. You know, that's why I often say on my other channel, welcome to In Revelation Times, where the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, differs with everything we've been taught. You know, because these scriptures are coming out, and it's tearing down everything that we've been taught. We've been taught falsehoods. We've been eating of that tree of the knowledge of good and evil, meaning that, you know, we've fallen into the ways of Edom, Idumea, adapting all these philosophies that you can be like God. You know, Esau claims to be one nation under God, but is it? Is the ways of the Most High held here? Well, Esau calls himself a god, so it's in his ways, and his real entity is Satan. He's adverse to everything that is righteous. You know, you have faggots that can get married. You know, you have so much perversion here, you know, that now you got incest everywhere. You know, everything's incestuous, but that's considered the norm now, you know, that daughter marries their father, or their father marries the son. You know, that this is normalities now here in Edom. You know, because, of course, the Amalekites, which are the ones that claim to be Jewish, are the ones that are bringing forth all those things. Tel Aviv is the fag capital of the world. You know, and that's where most of this buggery is taking place, you know. Buggery is everywhere in the Hollywood industry. That's being exposed, you know, because a lot of people know it as Hollywood Babylon. So this is Babylon the Great, you know, that it's not the Vatican, you know. Yes, we know that the priests molest children, you know, they love to molest children, but, you know, who runs the Vatican? Who runs everything? These bankers. Who are the bankers? Idumea, the Amalekites, you know, the Ashkenazis who call themselves Jews, you know, the Rothschilds, which David Rothschild today is Cesare Borgia, which is the image that's put out there to worship, that you should worship this image, you know, of Cesare Borgia, you know, and so people call on the Borgias for help, you know, when they're in time of trouble, you know. And, you know, we're also brought up on the idea that America is G.I. Joe, a real American hero, but yet is now being exposed to the terrorists that they are. And so, you know, when you bring that out, you know, and you're out there in public, you know, they don't say good news for them, but like everything else, though, it's going to come out anyways, you know. And just there's a way to do it and a way not to do it, you know. What was I to do? Continue to fight with him? No. Just leave it at that. You're a goddamn Edomite. Case closed. So this ain't good news for the Edomites, you know. And I am in a place that's primarily of the Edomites. You know, Redding is pretty much a redneck mountain town. It's what it is, you know. And so I'm overrun, you know. So what am I going to do? Engage with that Edomite, you know, any further than what that was? No, but... you know, there's plenty of public places that I could still go to finish the point and place, you know. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So I want to give all praise to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. And shout out to Akim, who's out there pushing this troop. Keep pushing forward, man, because we haven't much time left. The elect of the Most High are about to be sealed and are getting sealed the more and more we do this. This labor is not in vain. Shalom.